Kurtop here, and these are 100 archaeological finds that influence the course of history. Ice Age art. The Alb Donau mammoth in Germany is one of the oldest examples of Ice Age art, dating back some 35,000 years. This miniature figurine is carved from mammoth tusk, which in itself is evidence of the skill and artistic flair of primitive people. Discovered in the 1930s, the artifact has become an important link in the study of early human art. What makes this piece special is not only its age, but also its detail. The surface of the figurine is covered with notches, possibly symbolic or decorative, which add to the mystery of the artifact. They may be early examples of communication or spiritual ideas of ancient people. Archaeologists suggest that such figurines could have been used for ritual purposes, acting as talismans for hunters or symbols of good luck. The mammoth, which symbolized strength and endurance, probably played an important role in the worldview of primitive tribes. Mysterious golden egg. In Alaska, researchers discovered a mysterious golden object that most closely resembles the egg from the movie Alien. Scientists immediately thought that there was something alive inside, or that it was some kind of new sea sponge. This mysterious artifact was discovered at a depth of 3 kilometers during an expedition led by NOAA. The most interesting thing is that it has a hole. One of the researchers suggested that something was trying to get in or get out. Scientists are shocked. They have never seen anything like this. Carrie Howell, an expert in deep-sea ecology, admitted that in 20 years of work, she had never encountered anything like this. Murray Roberts, a marine biologist, suggested that it could be the shell of some deep-sea creature. Maybe it's even the egg of a deep-sea shark or stingray. Perhaps something has already hatched from it and swam into the unknown depths of the ocean. At this point, the egg has been sent to the laboratory for further and more accurate study. Indian pata, age 500 years old. A pata or sword bracelet is an amazing type of weapon that came to us from the Middle Ages and served not only as a protection for the warrior's hand, but was also a dangerous attack tool. Pata has a unique structure. A long, straight blade is connected to a tight-fitting bracelet. This allowed the warrior to make powerful and accurate blows, as well as block enemy blows using metal protection on his hand. Pat's special feature is its complex design. The blade of the sword was often decorated with engravings and inlays, and the handle and bracelet could be made of expensive metals and stones. Pata, despite its unusual and complex nature, was very popular among Indian warriors, especially the cavalry. It served not only as a tool for battles, but also as a symbol of the status, power, and skill of its owner. This rare and unique ancient Indian relic is a shining testament to the art and craftsmanship of ancient blacksmiths and gunsmiths. Buddha statue in Egypt. As part of a joint American-Polish archaeological expedition, scientists made a startling discovery at Berenice, an ancient Roman-era Egyptian port city on the Red Sea. During the excavations, researchers found a marble statue of Buddha almost a meter high. The Buddha is depicted holding his robe in one hand, while the other part of the statue is missing. The background of the statue is decorated with a mandorla, symbolizing the enlightened mind with traced rays of light. In addition, there is a blooming lotus at the base. The dating of the artifact indicates the one Sate II in centuries AD. This find provides evidence of commercial relations between Egypt and India in ancient times. Such connections may have begun even before the 4th century BC. Cybele on a chariot. Medallion depicting Cybele on a chariot dated to the 2nd century BC is a unique work of art of the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. This kingdom originated in the region that is now part of modern Afghanistan and was formed by the Greek conquerors after Alexander the Great. Cybele, the maternal goddess of nature and fertility, was a cult figure in a number of ancient religions, and her image on the medallion speaks to the mixture of cultures and religious practices in the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. The medallion depicts Cybele driving a chariot drawn by lions, symbolizing her dominant role in nature and the cosmos. A miniature wonder. This miniature almanac with an embroidered cover, created in France around 1780, is a true masterpiece of 18th century decorative art. Its dimensions, only 3x7 centimeters, make it not only a work of art but also an intriguing collector's item. Such miniatures were popular among the French aristocracy and served both practical and aesthetic purposes. The cover, made of embroidered fabric, is decorated with an intricate pattern of flowers, which symbolized not only the taste of the era, but also the high skill of the needlewomen of that time. Red and blue decorative elements on the edges give the product additional sophistication. Such almanacs were often given as gifts, accompanied by personal inscriptions or poems, adding even more personal value to the item. Its small size suggests that it was intended to be carried in pockets or handbags, which allowed the owners to demonstrate their refined taste. It may have contained brief notes, calendars, or even love letters, making it a witness to intimate moments of life during those years. Ritual figurines. Built after 1325, the Great Temple served as the spiritual center of Tenochtitlan until 1521 when the Spanish conquerors destroyed it. But thanks to the efforts of the Templo Mayor Project and INH, the history of this temple comes to life again before us. The Templo Major was not just a building, it was a place of worship for Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, symbolizing war and fertility. Today, its remains can be seen near the Zocalo in Mexico City. Recent excavations have uncovered the Theopetra Cave, a treasury where figurines and various objects were found. These finds tell about the ancient culture and rituals of the Aztecs. According to archaeologist Lopez Lujan, these figurines had special significance in religious rites. A stone chest was also found indicating the reign of Montezuma I, which contained more than 186 relics. These finds are evidence of the rich and unique culture of the Aztecs. Aztec makua, age 600 years. The Aztec makua is not just a weapon, it is a symbol of the greatness and power of the Aztec Empire, a combination of ruthless efficiency and sacred meaning. It is shaped like a wooden sword, but its peculiarity is that the blade is made from sharp fragments of obsidian, a volcanic glass that the Aztecs used along with metals. Makua was not just a military weapon, but also a spiritual attribute. According to legend, the god of war and the sun Huitzilopochtli himself used this sword. It could cut a man in half with one blow, and its amazing cutting ability was so great that it was believed that it could cut off the head of a horse with one movement. Despite its effectiveness, the makua also had symbolic meaning. In Aztec culture, wars were often fought not to destroy the enemy, but to capture prisoners, who were then sacrificed to the gods. Thus, this sword became an instrument connecting the earthly and the divine, war and religion. Making makua was a complex process. To create the blade, it was necessary to select the sharpest and highest quality fragments of obsidian. They were then inserted into a wooden base and secured with natural resins. Another prince of ancient feet. Archaeologists in South Africa have discovered footprints that could change our understanding of the daily lives of early people. The footprints discovered at Kleinkrans may have been dated to between 79,000 and 148,000 years ago. They have features that indicate that people of this era used shoes. Why did scientists conclude that it was shoes? The absence of toe prints and the presence of clear edges indicate that the person was not barefoot. The footprints may have belonged to ancient hominids of average height. The researchers recreated the scenario using sand sandals to see if they would leave similar marks. The results were convincing. The sandals created similar marks, especially on wet sand. This conclusion may seem trivial, but it has profound historical implications. In those days, a traumatic wound on the foot could have been a deadly threat. Shoes could serve not only as protection from sharp objects, but also as a precaution against environmental hazards. However, despite all the evidence, scientists are in no hurry to confirm that it was shoes, given the difficulty of interpreting the prints and the lack of actual samples of such ancient shoes. Egyptian crocodile armor. Egyptian crocodile armor is a truly unique find. It was created from crocodile skin and was used in religious rites in ancient Egypt. During the time of the pharaohs, crocodiles were considered sacred animals and symbolized strength and power. The god Sobek, often depicted as a man with the head of a crocodile, was one of the most important deities in Egyptian mythology. It was often associated with the power of the pharaohs as well as protection and fertility. The armor, made from crocodile skin, was allegedly used by priests during religious ceremonies in honor of Sobek. Crocodile skin, in turn, was considered a powerful amulet that protected against enemies and evil spirits. Clay theater ticket. At the ancient city of Prusias na Hippias in northwestern Turkey, archaeologists have discovered a clay ticket from the Roman era, a statue of Aphrodite, and the top of a sacred thyrsus staff. The city, previously known as Hippios and Kieros, was renamed after King Prusias I of Bithynia, who captured it in the 3rd century BC. Later, under Roman rule, Prusias flourished and became an important cultural center. Among the surviving buildings in the city, the ancient amphitheater, known locally as the 40 Steps, stands out. This semicircular structure, 100 meters long and 74 meters wide, is decorated with carved steps with lion claw patterns. Despite earthquakes, the theater has remained virtually intact. About 80% of the structure has already been uncovered, and the artifacts found are in excellent condition. Time capsule from the late 18th century. In the USA at West Point, experts opened a mysterious box that had lain for 200 years at the base of the monument. Everyone thought that there would be ancient documents there, but there were only coins. It turned out that the box contained old American coins and a commemorative medal. But even despite their age, the cost of each coin is only a few hundred or even thousands of dollars. Archaeologist Hudson was a little upset, but still took the lead box to the laboratory, where he began to analyze the contents, because there could be other mysterious objects lost to time. And although the box did not bring the expected discoveries, each find is a new piece of history. Japanese katana. Age: 800 years old. When we hear the word katana, an image of a majestic samurai instantly appears before our eyes, ready to defend the honor and dignity of his master. But a katana is not just a sword. This is the history of Japan, a reflection of its spirit, culture, and philosophy. Each katana is born in fire and hammers. The process of creating it is a meditative art that requires incredible focus, skill, and patience. Steel forging, metal lamination, precise heat treatment, each stage gives the blade its unique qualities: sharpness, strength, and flexibility. The blade of the katana is curved, which allows the warrior to deliver powerful slashing blows. The effectiveness of this sword is so great that it has become a legend not only in Japan but also abroad. However, despite its combat power, the katana also serves as a spiritual weapon. Samurai believe that the soul of a warrior is in his sword. A katana is not just a bladed weapon. This is art, culture, spirituality. For centuries, master blacksmiths have perfected their craft, passing the secrets from generation to generation. Each katana has its own history, its own battle scars, its own soul. This discovery changed archaeology. The 600-year-old Nebsky Disc remains one of the most enigmatic archaeological finds. Inscribed on the UNESCO Memory of the World Register in 2013, this artifact is striking in its design and complex manufacturing technology. Recent research conducted in Germany has shown that the disc was made using a 10-stage hot forging process. Each stage involved heating the metal to 700 degrees Celsius and stress-relieving treatment. This data was obtained using modern techniques such as X-ray spectroscopy and microstructural analysis. Attempts to reproduce the technology have shown that the ancient original methods were superior to modern processing methods. The Nebsky Disc is not only a unique artifact but also proof of the advanced metallurgy knowledge of the time. Precious old brooch. A mother and daughter presented an antique brooch in the shape of a ballerina on the British show Antiques Roadshow, which airs on the BBC. The decoration immediately caught the attention of jewelry expert Joanna Hardy. The brooch turned out to be exquisite. Turquoise, rubies, diamonds, and 18-karat gold, materials that look refined and elegant. Hardy noted that the brooch could be a collector's item and is worth a fortune. The daughter said that the brooch was given to her mother by a Polish jeweler in the 1970s and 1980s. When he closed his shop, he allowed the woman to choose any item. She chose a ballerina since she used to teach at a ballet school in Chester. For her, the decoration had a special symbolic meaning. The expert tried to establish the origin of the brooch. According to her, the piece has all the hallmarks of Van Cleef and Arpels, a famous company that has been making ballerina-shaped brooches since the 1940s. However, there was no brand mark on the piece, so only the company itself can confirm its authenticity. If the brooch is genuine, its value could reach tens of thousands of pounds. Mermaid from India. Not many people have heard of the archaeological site of Chandraketugarh in India, which is located about 35 kilometers from Kolkata. Chandraketugarh was a prosperous port city involved in international trade where people lived since 400 BC before 1250 AD. Today, only the ruins of a brick Buddhist temple from the 10th century remain on this site. Interest in Chandraketugarh arose due to the many terracotta artifacts dating back to the Shunga period, that is 200–100 BC. Most of them were stolen and taken abroad, and only a few fragments survived in Indian museums. Although the complex was discovered in 1906, the Archaeological Survey of India under British control did not carry out excavations here. Many of the stolen items are now in museums around the world, such as the Metropolitan. 2 terracotta plates depict a mermaid, a rather rare image in Indian culture. In one, a mermaid swims by a lake, holding something that looks like a mirror or a flower. People on the shore look at her as if she was a miracle. The great chief arrived in a chariot to see this creature. On another, a mermaid was caught in a net by fishermen. People wave at her and she answers them without showing any fear. Looking at these reliefs, I wondered, are they not a reflection of ancient legends or real events that took place in Chandraketugarh 2,200 years ago? Perhaps mermaids were not a figment of the imagination, but real sea creatures in ancient times? Write in the comments under the video. Do you believe in the existence of mermaids or something similar? It's no wonder that the depths of the seas and oceans have not yet been explored. Temple for a lion-headed goddess. An ancient temple carved into a rock has been discovered in Egypt in the Athribis region. It is estimated to be around 2,100 years old and dates back to the reign of Ptolemy VIII, who reigned from 170 to 116 BC. Known for his complex political and family history, the ruler left behind many monuments, and the new temple was an important find. The walls of the temple contain bas-reliefs depicting Ptolemy VIII making sacrifices to the lion-headed goddess Reshaped and her son Kolant. Reshaped was the wife of the god Min-Ra, who was associated with fertility. Archaeologists believe that the temple was dedicated to this goddess, although its name remains unknown. During excavations, scientists discovered a hall where temple utensils and amphora were stored. At the entrance to the room, unique bas-reliefs were found depicting Reshaped and Min-Ra. Of particular interest is the image of Min-Ra surrounded by decans, the stars by which the ancient Egyptians navigated at night. These stars combine human bodies with the heads of animals such as a falcon and an ibis. Ulbert Swords. Age: 1,000 years. Among the many archaeological finds associated with the Vikings, the swords of Ulbert occupy a special place. These swords, made around the 9th to 10th centuries, are famous for their unique strength and quality of steel, sometimes surpassing even some modern examples. Ulbert is not just a name, this is a quality brand. This is the designation that was forged on the blade of most of these swords. But who or what is behind this name is still a matter of debate. Some researchers believe that Ulbert is the name of a craftsman or forge. Others believe that it is a kind of brand that guarantees the highest standard of quality. The secret of these swords lies not only in their origin. The methods used to make them are also amazing. The steel used in Ulbert's swords was purified with incredible precision, which in turn made them incredibly strong and flexible at the same time. The secret of forging these swords still remains unrevealed. Some experts argue that the manufacturing process may have used techniques that were forgotten and only recovered several centuries later. These swords were not just weapons, they were a symbol of status, power, and wealth. Owning Ulbert's sword was a sign of high status in Viking society. Cave paintings of Valcamonica. In the Valcamonica Valley located in northern Italy, there are over 200,000 cave paintings created by various cultures over the past 8,000 years. These engravings provide unique evidence of ancient civilizations, depicting their rituals, social structure, and daily life. However, among the many traditional images of animals, dancing people, and symbols, there are several engravings that are of particular interest to researchers. Some of them look like figures dressed in strange costumes, reminiscent of spacesuits with details similar to helmets, antennas, and other devices. These drawings have given rise to much speculation. Some argue that they may have been created after contact between the ancient inhabitants of Valcamonica and alien civilizations. Such theories often rely on the appearance of these figures, arguing that ancient people may have depicted extraterrestrial beings or even astronauts they encountered. However, most scholars are inclined to believe that these engravings may represent ritual or symbolic images, perhaps associated with religious beliefs or rituals of the time. Here, scientists always have one opinion. If a find cannot be explained, it means it is connected either with something extraterrestrial or with an ancient ritual. from a magical remedy to a serious illness. In ancient times, these stones were worth a fortune. It was believed that they saved from poisons. The Middle Ages were a very unusual time in our history: palaces, dances, and poisons. The aristocracy even took poison in small doses to get used to it. That's where pebbles and bezoars came in handy, which, according to those times, absorbed poison from drinks. They were usually turned into stylish accessories, rings and pendants. But here's a fun fact. One smart surgeon, Ambroise Paré, decided to test whether bezoars actually worked. And it turned out that, no. Typically, bezoars form in animals, for example, when a small piece of fur enters their stomach and begins to become overgrown with minerals, like a pearl in an oyster. Now, of course, these stones are valuable only as museum exhibits, but they never cease to amaze even today. Tutankhamun's camping cot. A recently published report by Japanese researchers says that a unique camping cot from the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun represents a real technological breakthrough of its time. Discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, this exclusive folding bed has a striking design. It can be folded into a Z shape. Architect Naoko Nishimoto, who specializes in the history of furniture, emphasizes the uniqueness of this find. Although other, simpler folding bed designs have been discovered, this three-piece bed is something special. Nishimoto claims that the craftsman who created this item demonstrated a real engineering miracle. After all, even the legs of the bed, decorated in the shape of lion paws, were equipped with complex hinges which made it possible to roll them up. These pieces were most likely created through trial and error, indicating the deep intelligence and ingenuity of the artisans. Despite the technology of the bed, it is unlikely that the young pharaoh Tutankhamun used it in practice, since his health and lifestyle did not allow this. Scientists speculate that this bed was part of a funerary treasure, symbolizing eternal comfort in the afterlife. Spanish bronze barrel. Archaeologists have discovered the oldest firearm in the continental United States. The Spanish bronze barrel was found in Arizona and is believed to have belonged to members of the expedition of Francisco Vázquez de Coronado. This expedition, which took place from 1539 to 1542, was the first attempt by Europeans to cross the Great Plains, but its results were insignificant, and Spain abandoned further plans to develop these lands. The find is a cast bronze barrel 106.7 centimeters long and weighing about 18 kilograms. This weapon, similar to a culverin, could fire grape shot or small cannonballs. It was discovered during excavations of an adobe building in the settlement of San Jeronimo III, where the expedition members were located. According to researchers, this weapon was of great value and was left in working order. Archaeologists believe that it was abandoned during an Indian attack on the settlement in 1541. This unique artifact became important evidence of the use of advanced technologies at that time by Europeans in North America. The oldest meteorite. Meet Erg-Chech 002. Not a simple meteorite, but a whole great-grandfather from space. It is already 4.6 billion years old. It was found in the Sahara Desert and holds the record for being the oldest volcanic rock on Earth. This is an andesitic achondrite, one of the first space inhabitants. Scientists from Australia decided to find out all its secrets. Understand how the planets were formed and what happened in the solar system at the dawn of its existence. But our old man has prepared a surprise. The isotope aluminum-26 was the main source of heat in the early evolution of the solar system. In addition, by its quantity, experts usually determine the age of meteorites. But it turned out that at the beginning of the existence of the solar system, this aluminum was distributed unevenly. So the old methods of determining age are no longer so accurate. This discovery changed the ideas of scientists. Now, to find out the age of the space inhabitant, we need a new approach. Philippine dagger kris. Age 1500 years. The Philippine kris is not just a bladed weapon, it is a true icon of Asian weaponry with a rich and mystical history. The peculiarity of this dagger lies in its blade. Wavy and curved lines not only give it a unique look, but also indicate the complexity of the forging technique. This dagger originally appeared in the Malay archipelago region and was widely distributed among the Muslim peoples of Southeast Asia. In the Philippines, the kris became a symbol of power and spirituality, and its owner was often considered protected from evil spirits. The blade of the kris has a special meaning. It is believed that the number of waves on the blade indicates the spiritual strength of the wearer. Each wave, or lock, represents a separate element or spirit. This feature makes each kris unique. It is also said that forging a kris requires a special ritual. The craftsman creating such a weapon had to observe strict fasting and prayer to ensure his work received maximum protection and power. Often crafted from different types of metal, the blade demonstrates the art of forging and folding the metal, giving each kris a unique character. Strip of holes in Peru. In the Pisco Valley in Peru, there is a mysterious place known as the Strip of Holes, or Monte Sierpe. It is a narrow strip of land 20 meters wide and about 1,500 meters long, strewn with thousands of shallow pits. Their exact purpose remains a mystery, although scientists have put forward many versions. The site first became famous thanks to an aerial photograph by Robert Shippey, published in the 1930s in National Geographic. Archaeologists have long avoided Monte Sierpe. It was only in the 1950s that Victor von Hagen studied the pits and suggested that they were empty graves, and their total number is estimated at 5,000. Later, John Hyslop put forward a version that the pits were used as warehouses, similar to those found in other places in Peru. Each hole is about 1 meter in diameter and up to 1 meter deep. They are made in different ways. Some are dug into the embankment, others are surrounded by stone walls. Modern research, including a detailed map created with the help of drones in 2015, has shown that the strip of holes consists of 6,000 pits divided into blocks with unique patterns. Nearby are Inca roads and remains of storage facilities, and the pottery found indicates that they originated in the 15th century when the Incas conquered the Chincha people. Archaeologist Charles Stanish believes that the pits could have been used to measure agricultural tribute that local farmers gave to rulers. Other scientists, such as Jean-Pierre Protzen, believe that the strip of holes may be even older. He believes that the pits could have been used to store fertilizers, such as excrement. To this day, the strip of holes remains one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in Peru. Who, why, and how created it are still the subject of debate and new research. Gold necklaces in an unusual place. At the end of August in the province of Asturias, Spain, Sergio Narciandi accidentally discovered a unique piece of gold jewelry while working on a pipeline in the municipality of Cavandi. At first glance, Sergio realized the value of the find. In front of him was an ancient torque, a neck decoration symbolizing high social status. Soon, archaeologists arrived at the discovery site. These artifacts, experts said, could be key to understanding the Iron Age, revealing the secrets of pre-Roman societies. These decorations will help us delve deeper into the cultural, technological, and social aspects of that era. Estimating the age of the jewelry, scientists suggest that they are about 2,500 years old. Torques, traditionally made from precious materials, are most often associated with Celtic and Germanic nobility. Experts noted the high level of craftsmanship inherent in these ancient jewelry, which opens new horizons for the study of artifacts of this time. Lycurgus Cup. The Lycurgus Cup is a unique artifact of antiquity, combining high art and complex technical implementation. This Roman glass goblet dates back to the 4th century AD and serves as a striking example of the ancient craftsmanship of glassmaking. The peculiarity of the cup lies in its ability to change color under different lighting conditions. In reflected light, the cup appears green, but when illuminated, it takes on a rich ruby red hue. This effect is achieved thanks to gold and silver nanoparticles in the glass. The image on the cup is based on Greek mythology and tells the story of Lycurgus, who tried to kill Ambrosia, the son of the god of wine Dionysus. The image shows how the vines generated by the vineyard entangle the body of Lycurgus, making it impossible for him to move. The Lycurgus cup is now kept in the British Museum. It serves not only as a magnificent example of ancient art, but also as evidence of the high level of knowledge of ancient artisans in the fields of chemistry and optics. Gladiator-shaped knife handle. Archaeologists have found a rare artifact, the handle of a folding copper knife in the shape of a miniature gladiator. The find is over 2,000 years old and was discovered by divers in the River Tyne near Corbridge, a Roman settlement in Northumberland next to Hadrian's Wall. It is rare evidence that the admiration for Roman gladiators reached even the outskirts of the empire. The handle depicts a secular gladiator, a powerful warrior in heavy armor, with a closed helmet and a large weapon. The peculiarity of the figurine is that it depicts a left-handed person, which is surprising since in ancient Rome this was considered a bad omen. Perhaps the figurine represents a specific warrior specially trained to use his left hand to gain an advantage in the arena. Gladiators, despite often being slaves or convicted criminals, could be the real stars of their era. Their battles drew crowds to amphitheaters, and their victories turned fighters into legends. Even today, their romanticized image continues to attract attention, as evidenced by the success of movies such as Gladiator. How the handle ended up in the river and who its owner was remains a mystery. Mayan ritual victims. At the archaeological site of Morro Reforma, where the ancient Mayans once reigned, scientists have found 13 burials with elongated skulls. Yes, and these poor fellows were beheaded. I have often said that the Mayans had a special tendency to make skulls elongated, changing their shape even in childhood. It was a sign of high status, and all 13 new skulls discovered belonged to men aged 17 to 45 years. Miriam Martinez, an anthropologist, says, the skulls were cut off with a sharp object, although it is unclear whether such injury led to death or something that happened afterward. And one more interesting fact, some of the remains had red pigment on them. What is it and why is it there? Scientists are still working on this issue. Roman gladius. Age, 2,000 years. Gladius is a symbol of the power and prosperity of the ancient Roman Empire. Small but deadly effective, the gladius was the primary bladed weapon of Rome's legionaries as they fought in conquests that stretched from the desert sands of Africa to the cold mountains of Britain. The straight double-edged sword, 60 to 80 centimeters long, was ideally suited for close combat. The gladius was designed to thrust rather than cut, allowing Roman soldiers to inflict fatal wounds on opponents even while wearing armor. As the Roman Empire grew and evolved, so did the gladius. From earlier models such as the Gladius Hispaniensis, which is believed to have been borrowed from the Iberian tribes, to more recent versions such as the Gladius Pompei. The finds of these swords are real historical relics that tell us about the greatness of the Roman military machine. Each gladius has its own story, stories of battles, heroism, victories, and defeats. However, the gladius is not only a weapon, it is also an important cultural symbol, indicating the role of Rome in the formation of Western civilization. The swords, which were found on fallen legionnaires or in temples as religious offerings, reflect the spirit of that era, an era of heroes, intrigue, and great conquests. The face of Tutankhamun's grandmother. Scientists have been able to reconstruct the appearance of Queen Ty, Tutankhamun's grandmother, thanks to modern 3D technology. Ty's mummy was found more than 120 years ago in the Valley of the Kings, but only now has it been possible to recreate her face with high accuracy. Experts have studied the structure of the skull, reconstructed soft tissue, volume under the skin, and hair based on data on the appearance of women in ancient Egypt. The result is an image of a woman with brown eyes, chestnut curly hair, a high cheekbones face, and dark skin. Ty's facial features are delicate and harmonious. Queen Ty was born around 1398 BC into a family that did not belong to the nobility. Her father Yuya was a chariot commander and her mother Tuya ran a harem. Thanks to her personal qualities, Ty became the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and had a significant influence on Egyptian politics. She participated in the government, appeared in official documents, and enjoyed the respect of her husband. Her son Akhenaten carried out one of the largest religious reforms in Egypt, abandoning the traditional gods and making the cult of Aten the central figure. These changes had a strong impact on culture and art, and Ty's grandson Tutankhamun later restored the old traditions. His short but brilliant reign became famous thanks to the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Scientists have determined that Ty died at the age of 40, 60 most likely from natural causes. Some of her features, such as the shape of her chin, were passed on to her descendants, including Tutankhamun. Mysterious mask. A strange iridium artifact found in Florida challenges traditional ideas about ancient civilizations. According to researchers, this object is tin, 12,000 years old, and is made of iridium, a metal that is extremely rare on Earth and most often found in meteorites. The artifact is striking in its delicacy and skillful processing, which suggests that the ancient craftsmen had technologies that were significantly ahead of their time. An image is engraved on the surface of the object, reminiscent of the deity Viracocha, known in the Inca culture as the creator of all things. According to legend, Viracocha came from Lake Titicaca, bringing light and knowledge. This image may be evidence of a connection between ancient peoples and an extraterrestrial civilization, which would explain the use of rare meteorite material to create this artifact. Historians believe that this object was stolen by Spanish conquistadors in 1715 and taken away on the ship La Concepcion. The ship sank in a storm, leaving much of its cargo, including other artifacts, on the ocean floor. The mask washed up on the beach and is believed by experts to be just a small part of the $5 billion lost treasure. Bottle of ancient Roman wine. An ancient Roman wine bottle dating back to 325 AD is believed to be one of the oldest surviving wine bottles in the world. It was discovered in 1867 near the city of Speyer in Germany as part of a tomb excavation. The vessel is made of glass and has an elongated shape with a narrow neck. Inside the bottle, the wine is turned into a solid substance due to the passing of centuries, but thanks to the sealed plug made of olive wood and wax, the contents of the bottle remained intact. Although modern researchers and wine experts do not recommend trying this ancient drink, it represents a unique testimony to the art of winemaking in ancient Rome. Now the bottle is in the Historical Museum of the city of Speyer and is one of its main exhibits. Imam Reza Mausoleum. This is one of the most important religious complexes in the Islamic world and a pilgrimage center for millions of Shiites. The architecture of the complex amazes with its grandeur and exquisite decorative work. Its splendor reflects many centuries of Iranian history, during which the complex was repeatedly rebuilt and decorated. The mosaics, mirror panels, and golden domes that adorn the mausoleum create an atmosphere that transports visitors to another world, a world of spirituality and silence. Every millimeter of space seems to come alive from the light reflected from thousands of mirror pieces, creating the illusion of infinity. The complex includes not only the mausoleum itself, but also mosques, libraries, museums, and religious schools. It houses valuable manuscripts, relics, and works of art that symbolize the rich cultural heritage of Iran. One of the most mystical features of the mausoleum is the ancient legend that prayers said here come true. Pilgrims from all over the world come to the tomb to ask for health, forgiveness, or a miracle. Canoe in good condition. Archaeologists in Switzerland recently presented a canoe that is 2,500 years old. It was discovered at a depth of 3.5 meters in Lake Neuchâtel, and the most interesting thing, it dates back to the early Iron Age. This ancient boat was discovered thanks to an archaeological survey of the lake carried out with the help of an airplane, and it took several months to completely remove the canoe. As archaeologist Nicole Poissaz says, this find is a real treasure for understanding the antediluvian history of the region. The canoe, made of oak, has been preserved almost in its original form. Archaeologists are now analyzing the canoes to learn more about life during that era. Using special technology, they will even create a 3D model to show what this boat looked like in the past. Stone knives from Kenya. Age, more than 500,000 years. On the vast plains of East Africa, deep in the Kenyan land, archaeologists have encountered ancient treasures that have revolutionized our understanding of early human history. These were stone knives, carefully shaped and sharpened. They became evidence of the amazing skill and intelligence of our ancestors. Their approximate age is 1.76 million years. Their shape and structure indicate that they were used for prey cutting and processing materials. The origins of these knives are linked to a culture known as the Acheulean, which flourished during the time of Homo erectus. The incredible skill with which these stone tools were created shows that the human brain underwent significant development at this time, allowing for the creation of more complex and effective tools. Each knife was unique and reflected the specific skills and preferences of its creator. From the shape and size of the blade to the sharpening methods, every aspect of these tools has been carefully considered. While the past cannot return, it will always live on in our memories and historical findings. Exposing the aliens from Peru. The world community was shocked by the news about mummies from the Nazca Desert, presumably of alien origin. After a high-profile presentation in Mexico, many media outlets paid attention to them. But according to Peru's Minister of Culture, Leslie Orteaga, things weren't that simple. These remains, she said, date back to the pre-Hispanic period. As it turned out, these are ancient bone remains and not aliens. But journalist and ufologist Jaime Mawson claims the opposite. He is confident that the 60 centimeters remains, which are about 1,000 years old, are aliens. The secret of these mummies has been discussed at the state level for many years. Orteaga admitted, "We knew about this discovery much earlier. However, in Peru, there is still no clear understanding of what kind of mummies these are. The intrigue is aggravated by statements from scientists. Perhaps these are real ancient mummies, fragments of which once fell into the hands of scammers. We learned about amazing archaeological discoveries and mysterious traces that aliens could have left in ancient times. But whatever it really is, such research reminds us of the richness and complexity of our history." Iconic collection. Missa in Agenda Defunctorum 1733 is a rare artifact from the early 18th century created for funeral masses. Used by priests to read prayers at the altar, this unique collection stands out not only for its content, but also for the dark symbolism of its design. The book's binding is decorated with an image of a skull and crossbones, which emphasizes its purpose in rituals associated with death and remembrance. The collection includes chants and texts of the Latin liturgy, which were used to repose the souls of the dead. The symbolism of the skull on the cover reflects the then idea of the frailty of existence and a reminder of the inevitability of death, motifs characteristic of the Baroque era. Such books were works of art, symbolizing the mysticism and grandeur of Catholic rituals. It is known that bindings with such symbolism were often made specifically for churches or noble families wishing to emphasize their connection with religious tradition. This collection was probably used in a monastery or chapel, serving as a reminder of the need to pray for the repose of souls. Parasite eggs, 200 million years old. Modern parasites are known to play a key role in ecosystems. However, paleontologists from Mahasaracham University, Thailand, have made breakthroughs in understanding their historical presence. After examining the fossilized excrement of ancient animals, they found ancient parasites in them, including Ascaris roundworms. The discovery follows reports of the revival of an ancient worm from Siberian permafrost by Russian scientists. Working with coprolites dating back about 200 million years, scientists discovered structures consistent with 5 types of parasites. Interest in these fossils stemmed from locals in Thailand who considered them good luck talismans due to their unusual shape. This is the first known example of parasites in a terrestrial vertebrate from the late Triassic period in Asia. It is also one of the few records of preserved roundworm eggs in coprolites of ancient animals. These parasites were found in the excrement of what appeared to be a phytosaur or other crocodile-like reptile from the Triassic period. The find strengthens our understanding of how parasites interacted with their host in ancient times. Message in a bottle. Norwegian archaeologist Jacob Bredesen was shocked when he discovered a message in a bottle that had been buried for over 150 years. The find was made during excavations of an ancient Viking burial mound. The message was left by archaeologist Anders Lorange in 1874 when he first explored the burial mound. Archaeologists have not opened a Viking burial mound in Norway for over 100 years, and it is incredible that they decided to re-excavate this one. The mound where the bottle was found belongs to the legendary king Audbjorn. He was buried with the largest Viking ship in the world. The Norwegian Ministry of Cultural Heritage initiated the excavation in order to nominate the mound for UNESCO World Heritage status. Inside the bottle, they found a note left by Lorange, 2 19th-century coins, his business card, and a letter. The translation of the text on the note reads, "This mound was excavated in 1874. Fallen warriors were buried here. They were burned together with the ship, weapons, and jewelry. 26 shields, 2 swords, an axe, Many arrows and other artifacts were found. All finds were transferred to the Bergen Museum. The mound became famous for the huge number of preserved artifacts, which confirms the funeral traditions of the Vikings, who often sent their warriors on their last journey on ships with weapons and armor. The Vikings were seafarers and conquerors from Scandinavia, who explored and conquered coastal territories from the 8th to the 11th centuries. Some scientists believe that they may have been the first Europeans to reach North America. Theopetra Cave Time Capsule. Just think, 130,000 years ago, people already chose this cave as their home. These are the conclusions archaeologists made while studying the Theopetra Cave in the heart of Greece at the foot of Meteora. This amazing piece of land was formed between 137 and 65 million years ago. People found a cozy place to live in this cave, and its inner world turned out to be extremely spacious, about 500 square kilometers. And what's especially nice is that the cave is so light thanks to the huge entrance. The exploration of the cave began in 1987 and lasted for 20 years under the strict guidance of Dr. Nina Kiparisi Apostoliki. Initially, the cave served as a shelter for local shepherd sheep, but then became a key site for archaeologists throughout Greece. Here's an interesting fact. Theopetra is the only cave in Greece where the historical lifeline from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic is clearly visible. Such a scientific window into the past is a real rarity. Celtic Sword, age 2,000 years. When it comes to Celtic culture, many imagine ancient myths, druids, and mysterious stone circles. However, the Celts were also masters of forging, and their swords bear witness to this skill. Long, with a curved handle and a decorative guard, the Celtic sword was an art and a weapon at the same time. These swords not only served for combat, but also played the role of symbols of social status and religious purpose. Found from the British Isles to Germany, Celtic swords are often accompanied by finds of ornate scabbards, which speaks to the importance the Celts attached to their weapons. Inlaid with gold and silver and adorned with intricate patterns, these swords were more than just tools of war. They were symbols of power. But what makes the Celtic sword so unique is its forging. The Celts used methods of hardening and folding metal, which made their weapons remarkably durable for the time. Many archaeological finds show that even after 2,000 years, swords have retained their sharpness. The Fat Lady of Sagos. The Fat Lady of Sagos represents a unique testimony to the ancient culture that flourished in the Cyclades Islands during the Neolithic era. Its discovery revealed many secrets about the lifestyle, religious practices, and artistic traditions of this ancient society. Sagos, despite its small size, was of key importance in the early history of the Aegean region. In addition to its role as a connecting isthmus between Antiparos and Paros, it was a center of production and trade, as evidenced by finds of obsidian tools in excess of local needs. Ceramic vases discovered on the island provide insight into the design and style of the era. Their patterns and shapes reflect creativity that may have had religious or cultural significance to the people of Sagos. Overall, the discoveries at Sagos provide invaluable information about the ancient world of the Aegean region. Buddha Iron Man. This is an amazing find that has shocked scientists around the world. This statue, about 24 centimeters high and weighing 10 kilograms, was created from a fragment of a meteorite. The specimen represents the image of the Buddhist god Vaishravana, who symbolizes protection and wealth. The origin of the statue has been carefully studied by researchers. Based on the results of the analysis, it was determined that the material for the creation was taken from the Chinga meteorite, which fell on the border of Mongolia and Siberia about 15,000 years ago. It is believed that the statue was created in the 11th century AD on the territory of Tibet. It is amazing how the ancient masters, without even suspecting the cosmic origin of the material, were able to so skillfully process and transform it into a work of art. In 1938, Ernst Schaeffer's expedition, funded by Nazi Germany, discovered the statue in Tibet and brought it back to Germany. Subsequently, its origin and material remained a subject of controversy and mystery for a long time, until recent scientific research revealed its amazing history. Today, Iron Man stands not only as a majestic work of art, but also as a testament to the unique combination of nature and human artistry. A matrix for making gold images. In the central part of the island of Falster, located in the southeast of Denmark, an enthusiast with a metal detector made an incredible discovery that could rewrite not only the history of the region, but also shed light on little-known pages of Danish history. Lennart Larsen, walking in the rain in search of artifacts, heard a weak signal from his device. After digging up the ground, he found a small, unusual object, an ancient matrix for making gold images, which were presumably used in cult rites as offerings to the gods. According to archaeologists from the Lolland and Falster Museum, this find may be associated with an ancient center of power or religious activity. The matrix, only 2 centimeters in size, dates back to the period between 500 and 700, a time before the beginning of the Viking Age. Such artifacts are incredibly rare. Only 28 such matrices have been found in Scandinavia, and none south of the Baltic Sea. The Falster matrix depicts a man in fine clothing standing with his hands down and palms outward. This gesture is found in both pre-Christian and Christian cultures and symbolizes either submission or revelation. The details of the image remain a mystery. It is not yet known whether the matrix depicts a man or a woman. It is possible that this is the figure of a king expressing devotion to a deity, or conversely, a god appearing to a man. Caches in the Lost City. Have you heard about the lost city of Tenai in Greece? So the other day, archaeologists discovered several ancient caches of coins there. Many people used to think that Tenai was just a myth, but everything changed in 1984 when local residents, while digging a well, stumbled upon an ancient sarcophagus. Recent excavations have brought even more interesting finds. Researchers discovered a huge Roman building with an area of 156 square kilometers, with unique stonework. Inside this building, archaeologists discovered a cache containing 18 coins, a key, a stylus, and Roman ceramics. Elsewhere, another cache was found with 2,100 coins, which date back to the 5th to 6th centuries. Among these coins, especially valuable are those depicting ancient rulers. In addition, archaeologists have found many figurines intended for sacrifices. And here's another surprise. Scientists have discovered a Roman tomb where a small child was buried. Inside this tomb were found amazing artifacts, including rare coins and a lamp depicting the god Ares. Tenai is indeed often mentioned in Greek myths. According to one legend, this city was founded by Trojan prisoners of war around 1100 BC. This incredible story proves that even lost cities can reveal their secrets after thousands of years. And who knows what else awaits us in Tenai? Bronze swords from China. Age: 2,500 years. When it comes to ancient weapons, China, as one of the oldest civilizations in the world, offers us amazing examples of craftsmanship. Among them, bronze swords occupy a special place, which testify to the splendor and complexity of ancient Chinese culture. Bronze Age in China, which began around the 21st century BC, brought innovations to metalworking, which gave impetus to the creation of unique weapons. These swords were often decorated with intricate engravings reflecting religious, astronomical, and natural motifs. One of the most famous bronze swords was found in the tomb of Marquis Yi of Xing, dating back to 433 BC. This sword, although it spent more than 2,000 years in the ground, amazed scientists with its excellent condition. The blade was still sharp, and there were practically no traces of corrosion on its surface. This quality testifies to the high level of skill of Chinese blacksmiths and the secrets they used to protect the metal from oxidation. Greetings from the Neolithic. This magnificent artifact, a bare-headed dagger, was found in the Piajoki area of Finland and dates back to the Stone Age, approximately 4000–2000 BC. Its exquisite design of striped stone is evidence of the high level of craftsmanship of the ancient craftsmen. The bare head on the dagger's handle is not only decorative but may have symbolized strength, endurance, and spiritual guidance. In a cultural context, it may have been used in rituals related to hunting or the worship of animals that were considered sacred protective spirits. The bear was a particularly revered creature in the mythology of ancient Finnish tribes, associated with the world of ancestors and nature spirits. The blade shows no obvious signs of use, which may indicate its ceremonial significance. Such an artifact may have belonged to an important person in the community, such as a chieftain or shaman, who used it for special ceremonies. The Holy Grail of the Nazis. This artifact has become increasingly popular over time, especially in the context of research into the esoteric beliefs of the Nazi regime. It is true that a number of senior Nazi leaders, including Himmler, were interested in the occult and mystical traditions. However, it is necessary to understand that most of the information on this topic is based on myths and guesses. However, there is a version that the Nazis were actually looking for the Holy Grail in the hope of using its mythical properties for their own purposes. In combination with archaeological expeditions organized by the Ahnenerbe SS Research Institute, this version becomes even more interesting. Some historians claim that one of the goals of Nazi expeditions to Tibet and other regions was to search for relics, including the Grail. However, there is no clear evidence for this. There is also an opinion that the Grail could be located in southern France, in the Cathar region, and that the Nazis carried out excavations there. This myth has been further inflated by popular culture, especially movies and books. A number of works depict Nazis pursuing sacred relics, including the Grail, to gain supernatural power or justify their ideology. Scientific and historical research on the topic proves that while the Nazis were indeed interested in the occult and mysticism, most of these claims are based on myth. However, the idea that the Nazis may have been searching for the Holy Grail has become one of the most recognizable and disturbing themes in modern pop culture. Art and relics with cosmic features. Over the centuries, humanity has created art and relics which sometimes represent figures with unusual cosmic features. These images have become the subject of discussions and theories related to the possibility of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. One of the most famous examples is the ancient images in the Indian Vedas, which describe flying machines known as vimanas. While most researchers believe they represent mythological or symbolic images, some claim they are evidence of ancient technology or even extraterrestrial intervention. In numerous ancient cultures from Egypt to Central America, statues and reliefs have been found that depict figures with unusual helmet-like headdresses or other cosmic attributes. These images are often associated with gods or great rulers who could descend from heaven. Another example is the art of the ancient Sumerians. Some of these images represent creatures that some theorists argue could be interpreted as extraterrestrial. However, most archaeologists and art historians argue that such images are the result of religious beliefs, mythology, or symbolic art rather than evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Whatever the true meaning of these images is, they serve as a reminder of the richness and depth of human imagination and our desire to understand and interpret the unknown around us. Cinderella's slipper. The story of Cinderella, one of the most beloved and famous fairy tales, has deep roots dating back to ancient times. Many cultures have created their own versions of the tale from Greek to Chinese. However, the first European literary version, included in Giambattista Basile's Pentamerone in 1634, tells an unusual version of the story. In the Italian tale, the heroine, Zizola, is shown to be anything but innocent. Her first stepmother is killed by her own design, after which a cunning governess takes her place. But after marrying Zizola's father, she turns into an even more cruel stepmother, adding 6 daughters who drive the heroine to despair. In the end, everything ends with a wedding with the king, although Zizola leaves behind a not-quite fairy tale path. Interestingly, in the Italian version, Cinderella loses not a glass slipper, but Chopin unusual shoes with a high platform. These accessories were popular in Europe from the 14th to the 17th centuries, especially in Venice. Made of wood or cork, they could reach incredible heights, up to 50 centimeters or even higher. Chopin served not only to protect against dirt, but also as a status symbol. The higher the platform, the higher the woman's position in society. This strange element of footwear perfectly reflects the spirit of the times and the social realities of the era. Venetian Chopins with their massive soles were real works of art, often decorated with brocade, embroidery, or jewelry. Perhaps it was thanks to this unusual attribute of footwear that Cinderella managed to attract the attention of the king, even though it was not easy to walk in them. Skeleton with intact brain. Imagine a giant 45-hectare mound that looks like a heart in aerial photographs. It is called the Heart of Western Anatolia for a reason. Now comes the fun part. For the first time in the history of Turkish archaeology, scientists have discovered well-preserved skin remains. And what else? Remains of the brain. Imagine the remains of a brain that is already 3,700 years old. Finds of such antiquity are something incredible. They were a young guy, 15, 18 years old, and a middle-aged man. Apparently, their house was set on fire during the Bronze Age, and they did not have time to get out. It's scary to imagine, but it was thanks to this fire that their remains were so well preserved. This amazing mound was the real capital of its region in ancient times, but around 1700 BC it was completely destroyed by attack. And now comes the main question: how is this possible? How could remains of brain and skin survive after such a long time? Thanks to extremely high fire temperatures. This is truly a unique and rare find. Early Iron Age cremation burial. During the expedition to Hallstatt-Salzburg in Austria, many new finds were discovered. The most remarkable of these is a cremation burial containing well-preserved bronze objects. While studying the metal finds, scientists discovered surprisingly well-preserved remains of fabric. Hallstatt is famous for its salt mining, dating back to prehistoric times and giving its name to the Hallstatt culture, a people who emerged in the late Bronze Age. The burial is located in an Iron Age cemetery first opened in 1846. In 1863, archaeologists discovered more than 1,000 graves at this site. Among the finds are a ribbed hand ring, spirals of thin wire, and a bronze blade with traces of a wooden handle. The finds were tightly packed into the grave. Archaeologists have identified traces of fabric on the spiral discs, which may provide the first archaeological evidence of the use of textile bags for cremated remains. Plate proves to be important artifact. A gold plate dating back to the 6th to 7th centuries AD has recently been discovered in England. It was discovered by a metal detectorist in Climping, West Sussex. This rare piece of early medieval art is now on display in the Littlehampton Museum Archaeology Gallery. The plate was most likely used to decorate a sword, although it could have been part of other valuable items. A museum spokesman called it a tiny masterpiece and noted the exquisite filigree of twisted gold wire, a clear indication of the skill of Anglo-Saxon craftsmen of the time. Decorative elements of this level demonstrate the importance attached to the art of weapon decoration in the early Middle Ages. Now, visitors to the Littlehampton Museum can see up close the exquisite designs and complex techniques used by 6th and 7th century craftsmen. 99% of people on Earth died. There are moments in human history that make us think about the fragility of life. One of these moments is the bottleneck effect. According to the results of genetic studies, approximately 70,000 years ago, the number of modern humans, Homo sapiens, fell to critically low levels, perhaps to several thousand individuals. What caused this mass extinction? The main theory points to a powerful volcanic eruption in Indonesia, the Toba supervolcano. It was one of the most destructive in the history of the planet and caused dramatic climate change, which led to global cooling. This in turn created extreme survival conditions that many human populations were unable to cope with. However, despite all the difficulties, a small group of people continued to fight for survival, becoming the genetic ancestors of all living people. Modern human genetic evidence suggests that the genetic diversity of Homo sapiens is surprisingly low, especially when compared with other species. This fact is a direct consequence of the bottleneck. Today, scientists around the world continue to explore this unique period in human history, trying to understand all the mechanisms of survival and adaptation of our distant ancestors. This episode reminds us that the history of our species is full of secrets and surprises, and how important it is to appreciate every moment of our existence. A mystery in the Amazon jungle. Padre Carlos Crespi Croce, an Italian missionary who spent most of his life serving in Ecuador, became one of the most enigmatic figures of the 20th century thanks to his extraordinary collection of artifacts. Working with the Shuar tribes in the Ecuadorian jungle, he acquired many ancient objects that some researchers believed could be evidence of an ancient, highly advanced civilization, and perhaps even contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Crespi's collection included strange metal plates engraved with symbols reminiscent of ancient writing, figurines depicting creatures with unusual features, and objects that many described as technologically sophisticated. Of particular intrigue were metal reliefs depicting creatures with elongated skulls, stars, and scenes reminiscent of space travel. Interestingly, there were no known civilizations in the region that could produce such complex items. Rumors about the collection spread after some visitors, including researchers, claimed to see evidence of extraterrestrial influence in it. Some of the artifacts were said to be made of metals that could not be identified. Crespi, however, was not looking for fame. He claimed to accept these items from local tribes in exchange for aid and food. The collection's connection to extraterrestrial civilizations becomes even more interesting when considering the mystery of the tunnels beneath Ecuador that are the subject of legend. The tunnels, known as the Teos system, are said to contain a library of metal books. Some theorists suggest that these tunnels were a base for an ancient race, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. The Crespi collection could have been part of these treasures. Unfortunately, after the death of Padre Crespi in 1982, the collection was destroyed by fire or stolen, and its fate remains unclear. What do you think? Could a missionary become the custodian of traces of an ancient space civilization hidden in the Amazon jungle?
The only one on Earth. Discovered in 2010 in the Mogok region of Myanmar, kyalthuite is perhaps the rarest mineral on Earth. Weighing only 1.61 carats, 0.3 grams, this reddish-orange crystal was initially unnoticed by a sapphire digger. It was only after analysis by Dr. Kyaw Thu that the mineral was given its name, and in 2015 it was recognized as a new mineral by the International Mineralogical Association. Kyalthuit is composed of bismuth and antimony oxide. Despite its apparent simplicity, its atomic structure is unique, making the mineral exceptional. Another unusual property is its high density, 8 times greater than that of water. These characteristics, together with the rare geological conditions of its formation, make Kyalthuit a real mystery for scientists. The mineral formed in a pegmatite, an igneous rock formed in the final stages of magma crystallization. Today, a unique specimen of Kyalthuit is housed at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, where it is carefully preserved as a scientific treasure. Kyalthuit remains a unique record of the geological processes that shaped the Earth millions of years ago. Although synthetic versions of the mineral are possible, natural Kyalthuit is of great value to science, helping to understand tectonic shifts and the evolution of minerals on our planet. 1,000-year-old mummy. Have you heard about the latest archaeological discovery from the capital of Peru, Lima? Researchers have discovered a 1,000-year-old mummy. The discovery was made in the prestigious Miraflores area, near which researchers discovered 2 ceramic vessels and ancient fabrics. The mummy is said to be associated with the Ixma culture, an ancient people who lived south of Lima. It's interesting that Lima has already surprised us with such finds. Recently, another mummy was found on the top of a hill, surrounded by cocoa leaves. And the most interesting thing is that this place of Huaca Pucllana is considered an archaeological gold mine. Scientists are sure there are still many secrets waiting to be discovered. Climate of the ancient world according to wooden tablets. Researchers have uncovered the secrets of the climate of the past thanks to an unusual source: ancient mummies. In Roman times, wooden tablets were attached to mummies, and it was these small details that turned out to be the key to unraveling the weather of those times. It wasn't just names engraved on them. The rings on the tree turned out to be a living chronicle of the climate. Drought years, narrow rings on the tree become their witnesses. But to get a complete picture of ancient weather, one tablet is not enough. Fortunately, many such artifacts have survived. Museums around the world hold thousands of them, and it's interesting that they are from different tree species. The latest study took 300 of these ancient climate records. This helped scientists get closer to understanding the weather conditions of the eastern Mediterranean in the areas of what is now Lebanon, Greece, and the Nile River. However, the date of each climate change remains a mystery. Perhaps the answers lie in radiocarbon dating.
100 Iron Age artifacts. Archaeologists in Denmark have made an incredible discovery: more than 100 weapons, including spears, swords, knives, and rare chainmail. They were all found beneath the home of an Iron Age chieftain. The collection is around 1,500 years old and may have been part of a ritual offering after a military success. The weapons were found beneath 2 5th-century houses, likely belonging to a powerful chieftain who could raise an army.
The items include 119 spears, 8 swords, 5 knives, an axe, and a chainmail suit that is believed to have belonged to the chieftain himself. Such armor was expensive and difficult to make, highlighting its importance. In addition to the weapons, archaeologists have also found bronze neck rings, known as oath rings, symbols of power in the Iron Age. Fragments of harness, a bronze horn, and other metal objects have also been found, which have yet to be studied. Denmark was on the fringes of the Roman Empire in the 1st to 4th centuries, part of Magna Germania. The locals were mostly farmers, but Romans like Julius Caesar mentioned fierce Germanic warriors. Some scholars suggest that the Romans may have supplied local tribes with weapons to maintain order on the borders. Medieval female giant. In the Middle Ages, on the island of Ostrów-Lednicki in Poland, there lived a woman of extraordinary height who probably suffered from mental disorders. This is the only known giantess from Poland at that time, as confirmed by Dr. Magdalena Matzak. Her height was about 215 centimeters, while ordinary women were around 1.6 meters tall. The woman passed away at the age of 25-30. Her skeleton was found by researchers in the Lednice area. According to assumptions, the presence of such a disease could be accompanied by mental problems. Interestingly, despite her height, the life of a giantess in medieval Poland could have been quite comfortable since she was well known in her community. But her burial was unusual. Contrary to accepted traditions, her face was directed to the west, and she did not have funerary objects. Tales of the Star People among the Indians. In the culture of many indigenous peoples of America, there are legends about star people, who, as these legends say, arrived on Earth from outer space. These mythological tales embody ancient encounters between the continent's indigenous people and creatures from distant stars. Such stories are especially vivid in the culture of the tribes of the plateau of North America. According to their beliefs, star people not only visited Earth but also passed on knowledge to the Indians, helping them adapt to life, teaching them farming, healing, and even spiritual practices. One of the legends tells how the star people descended to Earth on sparkling silver discs, attracting the attention of the Indians with their light and sound. These newcomers were friendly and imparted wisdom and knowledge to the tribe. There are also legends that some of the Indians went into the sky with the star people and returned back, enriched with new knowledge and experience. Interestingly, these tales share similarities with myths from other cultures around the world. However, while for most researchers these stories are just myths born of human imagination and the need to understand the universe, others argue that they may provide evidence of ancient encounters with extraterrestrial life. Prehistoric petroglyphs in a unique place. In the Italian Alps on Mount Pizzo Tricero, amazing prehistoric petroglyphs were discovered, recognized as the highest in Europe. These rock paintings were found in the summer of 2017 by a tourist, Tommaso Malinverno, who noticed strange carved figures on a rock at the foot of the Tricero Glacier in the Stelvio National Park. Archaeologists dated the petroglyphs to the Middle Bronze Age, that is, they are about 3,200 years old. The uniqueness of these finds lies not only in their age, but also in their altitude, more than 3,000 meters above sea level. This suggests that people at that time were developing high mountain territories. The drawings include figures of people with their hands raised to the sky, spirals, images of animals, and geometric patterns, the meaning of which is still unclear. In November 2024, another important discovery was made in the Lombardy region where the Stelvio Park is located. A 280 million-year-old fossilized ecosystem was found in the Orobi Valtellini Park. This confirms that the region is a true window into the past, combining paleontological and archaeological heritage. The oldest pirate flag. The National Museum of the Navy in Portsmouth displays a unique artifact, the Jolly Roger pirate flag, captured off the coast of Africa in 1780. This flag with a red background sent a specific message to merchant ships: surrender or die. There are traces of gunpowder and charred bullet holes on its fabric. Around 1700, such flags began to be actively used by pirates. Initially, red dominated, but over time, pirates experimented with other designs, including black flags. Richard Noyce, the museum's curator, says the image of pirates created by Hollywood is far from reality.
In history, they were dangerous threats to trade and not romantic movie heroes. Each pirate ship captain could choose his own design for his flag, but the skull and crossbones motif became the most popular. The name Jolly Roger likely comes from the French phrase Joli Rouge, which translates to beautiful red, emphasizing the original red color of the flag. Ship in Serbia. On the site of the ancient Roman camp of Viminacium, which was the capital of the ancient province of Moesia, Serbian archaeologists are examining the remains of a 13-meter river vessel. This historic camp is located 144 kilometers southeast of Belgrade, the capital of Serbia. This is not the first time that coal miners have found ancient traces of former life in this area. Unfortunately, the ship was not fully preserved and was damaged, but as archaeologists noted, the wood is in good condition. Experts have already moved the remains of the ship to an archaeological camp for further research. Now scientists are trying to determine to what period the found vessel belongs. According to experts, the ship can date back to both the Roman era and the last century. Archaeologists plan to apply for funding from the Serbian Ministry of Culture to continue their research. When the museum is built, visitors will be able to see all the ships and boats found on this section of the Danube. Remains of people with enormous heads. Scientists from the University of Honolulu and the Chinese Academy of Sciences have made a unique discovery, having found the remains of a previously unknown species of ancient people, Homo juluensis. This species is believed to have become extinct about 200,000 years ago. At the Zhujiayao site, archaeologists found 16 skeletons, stone tools, and animal remains. The new species is distinguished by their massive skulls with a volume of 1,600–1,700 cubic centimeters, significantly larger than those of Homo sapiens, 1,300 cubic centimeters, or Neanderthals, 1,400 cubic centimeters. However, scientists emphasize that a large skull does not always indicate higher mental abilities. Instead, it could have been an adaptation to the conditions of the Ice Age when the climate became cooler and harsher. Homo juluensis hunted wild horses, ate their meat, and used their skins to make clothing. They lived in small groups, which made them vulnerable to climate change and other external threats. Interestingly, the dental structure of Homo juluensis is similar to the Denisovans, another line of hominids that existed in the late Quaternary period about 300,000 years ago. However, like many other ancient species, Homo juluensis probably disappeared due to the emergence of Homo sapiens, which genetically displaced local populations in Europe and Asia. Bone spears from Germany. Age: 400,000 years. Among the archaeological treasures found in Germany, one of the most amazing and mysterious are sharpened bone spears. These unique ancient weapons represent important evidence of the life and skills of the primitive people of Europe. Discovered in the Schoningen area in the 1990s, these bone spears are estimated to be 400,000 years old and are among the oldest known examples of hunting weapons. Their creators, the ancestors of modern man, lived in an era when giant mammals ruled Europe. These spears were not just primitive weapons. They demonstrate amazing skill and understanding of aerodynamics. Straight and smooth, with a well-honed tip, they were ideal for hunting large animals. These weapons were also surprisingly durable and resistant, indicating the ancient people's deep knowledge of bone processing. The fact that these spears were made of bone rather than stone or wood speaks to the importance of the material. Bone is a strong and elastic material that can retain its shape even under severe impact. This makes bone spears an ideal weapon for hunting fast and powerful animals, such as deer or even mammoths. Ancient Roman boxing gloves. Cestus is an ancient Roman boxing glove which was intended not so much to protect the boxer's hands, but to increase the injury rate of blows. These combat accessories, reinforced with metal or bone inserts, could inflict fatal wounds. The only known surviving specimen of cestus was discovered during archaeological excavations in the city of Pompeii, which was buried under a layer of ash and lava as a result of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. This rare artifact is an amazing testament to ancient Roman sporting culture and the brutality of gladiatorial combat. The cestus is made of leather and decorated with lead and iron inserts. Unlike modern boxing gloves, the purpose of this device was to cause maximum damage to the opponent. Although modern boxing is considered a brutal sport, Roman fights using cestus were much more dangerous and bloody. Recreated the appearance of Jesus Christ.
Modern researchers are actively engaged in reconstructing the appearance of historical figures, including Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and even Jesus Christ. By the way, the reconstruction suggests that Cleopatra was not nearly as beautiful as she is often depicted. Now, scientists have reached the image of Christ, who is traditionally associated with long curls, a beard, and a robe. However, an analysis of archaeological finds and texts suggests that his real appearance was different. According to scientists, Jesus had brown eyes, dark skin, and short curly hair. His clothing probably consisted of a simple knee-length tunic and a woolen robe. This is how people of his time and social status dressed. He led a modest lifestyle, spent a lot of time outdoors, which could have left wrinkles on his face, and his hands and feet were most likely calloused due to hard work. An interesting addition was the discovery of the earliest depiction of Christ, dating back to the 4th century and discovered in modern-day Syria. In this ancient painting, Christ is depicted with short hair and no beard. However, in later Christian art, he began to be depicted with white skin and European features, which became the canonical image. In 2015, physician Richard Neve created a composite portrait of a man from the region based on skulls and anthropological data. This reconstruction suggests that the real appearance of Christ was closer to the Mediterranean than the image we are accustomed to. Dr. Meredith Warren from the University of Sheffield believes that such reconstructions may be closer to reality, although it is impossible to fully prove their accuracy. The lack of lifetime images of Christ leaves room for interpretation. Nevertheless, new ideas about his appearance help to better understand the era and context in which he lived. Ancient arrow. Somewhere in the heights of the Scandinavian mountains, scientists have found an arrow older than the pyramids. It is 4,000 years old. At first, archaeologists thought it was from the Iron Age, but as they say, the devil is in the details. When the ice enveloping the arrow began to melt, scientists saw a special stone tip. It turned out that this arrow dates back to the Stone Age. This is the first time such antiquity has been discovered at this site. The arrow hid in the Norwegian mountains and now, thanks to climate change, has decided to show itself to the world. Now, many archaeologists are exploring glaciers in search of treasures hidden under the ice cover. The source of all things. The clay sculpture Seated Mother Goddess from Balochistan, Pakistan dates back to the Bronze Age and is dated to around 2500 to 2000 BC. This artifact, measuring only 8.6 centimeters by 2.9 centimeters, is kept in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. The sculpture depicts a mother goddess, a symbol of fertility and motherhood. A characteristic feature is the detailed elaboration of the hairstyle in the form of twisting curls, which may symbolize vitality and protection. Large breasts and hips emphasize the cult of the feminine principle, common in ancient cultures associated with agriculture. Of particular interest is the similarity of this sculpture with similar artifacts found in other regions, such as Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. There are assumptions about the ritual purpose of the sculpture. Probably it was used in ceremonies associated with the fertility of the earth and women. A more mystical interpretation hints at a connection with ancient cosmic cults, where the figure could symbolize the connection between heavenly and earthly forces, being a mediator between the worlds. Remains of an ancient market. In Northampton's Market Square, archaeologists have discovered unique finds that open new pages in the city's history. Among them are a possible punishment post and traces of an unknown market hall. A team from London's Museum of Archaeology found fragments of medieval shoes, textiles, ceramics, and animal bones. In the center of the square, they found a stone building, possibly a market chamber. Another building may predate the creation of the market in 1236. The discovered structures may be depicted on a 17th century map. In the south of the square, they found the Great Conduit, built by Edward IV. They also found a medieval pillar that could have been used for punishment. After the research, the structures will be closed and the found objects will be stored in the museum. The Third Reich's treasure. A visitor to the popular British show Antiques Roadshow brought in what he believed to be a rare Leica camera, decorated with the Olympic rings, eagle, swastika, and the date 1936. He was sure that the device was connected to the Berlin Olympics and was a valuable Nazi artifact. However, the show's expert Mark Allam, who specializes in antique cameras, came to a surprising conclusion. The camera was a fake.
The visitor said that he had bought the camera for £480 from an antique shop, believing it to be a bargain. Alum, impressed by the camera's appearance, commented on its beauty, but quickly noticed details that gave it away. He explained that the antiques market, particularly in Eastern Europe, is awash with fake Leicas designed to deceive collectors. The expert pointed out problems with serial numbers and poor quality engraving, which is unacceptable for an authentic Leica. A truly rare Leica camera could cost thousands of pounds.
Luristan bronzes. The Luristan bronzes are a collection of bronze artifacts originating from the Luristan province in western Iran. These objects date back to the period between the 12th and 6th centuries BC and represent some of the most exquisite examples of ancient metallurgy and art. Most Luristan bronzes are small figurines, weapons, jewelry, and utensils. Their designs often use geometric motifs and animal images, especially goats and other horned creatures. Some of these items may have been used for religious or ritual purposes, while others may have been objects of everyday use. Luristan bronzes represent a reflection of the culture of the peoples who lived on the territory of modern Iran during the first millennium BC. Their uniqueness lies in their quality and style, which differs from other bronze objects of the time. Ancient currency. A bronze coin attributed to Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea, was minted between 26 and 36 AD during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. This small artifact is a powerful symbol of the power and influence of the Roman Empire in the territory of ancient Judea. Coins of this period reflect not only economic activity but also the political and religious aspects of the era. The obverse of the coin usually depicted a cult object associated with Roman gods, which emphasized Rome's desire to impose its culture. However, this caused conflicts with the local Jewish population, for whom images associated with pagan beliefs could be blasphemous. The reverse side of the coin often depicted symbols such as a cornucopia or kettle drums, symbolizing prosperity and control. Inscriptions on the coin contain references to Tiberius, reinforcing his authority as a ruler. Assyrian arrows. Age 3,000 years. The Assyrian Empire, centered in modern-day Iraq, dominated the Middle East for centuries. Its military power was legendary, and arrows held a special place in its arsenal. These arrows were unusually strong and long, providing great penetrating power. Made of wood with iron or bronze tips, they could pierce even thick enemy shields. In the hands of an experienced archer, they became deadly weapons. In Assyria, the art of archery was believed to be a divine gift. Archers held a high position in the army and were often depicted on reliefs and steles demonstrating their exploits. Assyrian arrows not only served as effective military weapons, but also became a symbol of the power and dominance of the Assyrian Empire in the ancient world. 9 Commandments out of 10. The oldest known stone slab with 9 of the 10 commandments carved into it is set to go up for auction. Experts estimate that the price could reach $1, $2 million. The marble slab dates back to between 300 and 500 AD and was discovered in 1913 during railroad construction on the southern coast of modern-day Israel, near the sites of early synagogues, mosques, and churches. The marble slab, which is about 2 feet tall and weighs 115 pounds, contains 20 lines of text in Paleo-Hebrew. It first hit the market in 2016 and sold for $850,000. For a long time after its discovery, the significance of the slab remained unclear. At one point, it was even used as a tile at the entrance to a house, which is why some of the letters were erased. In 1943, archaeologist J. Kaplan acquired the tablet and identified it as the Samaritan Decalogue, created by the Samaritans, an ancient religious group whose beliefs were based on the Old Testament but differed from Judaism. The tablet's text almost completely matches the biblical commandments familiar to both Christians and Jews. However, one of the commandments, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain," is missing. Instead, it is instructed to worship on Mount Gerizim, reflecting the religious beliefs of the Samaritans. Ring with the inscription, "For Allah." A ring with Arabic inscription dating back to the 9th century was discovered by researchers from Stockholm University in the city of Birka, an ancient Viking trading center in Sweden. This unique piece of purple stone jewelry speaks to the Vikings' ties to the Islamic world, supporting the theory of trade between these cultures. Initial speculation was that the stone in the ring was an amethyst, but further research revealed that it was violet glass, a material that was rare at the time.
Scientists believe that such glass could have come from Egypt or Mesopotamia, supporting the idea of trade links. There are traces of silver on the inside of the ring, indicating that it was purchased new before it became Viking property. This artifact supports the hypothesis of cultural and trade exchanges between Scandinavia and the Arab world, making it one of the most important finds of its time. Elongated skulls. The mystery of the elongated skulls of Paracas continues to stir heated debate among scientists and researchers. These elongated skulls, discovered by archaeologist Julio Tello in 1928 on the Paracas Peninsula in Peru, date back approximately 3,000 years. The skulls are unusually shaped, and although similar finds have been found all over the world, from Rome to the Caucasus, the Paracas skulls are particularly surprising. It is believed that the elongated shape of the skulls was the result of deliberate manipulation, such as tying special bands or boards around the heads of infants. This process, known as cranial deformation, was common among many ancient cultures. Even today, it is practiced by some African tribes. However, it remains a mystery what exactly motivated people everywhere to engage in this practice. One popular hypothesis is that people sought to imitate the gods or guests from heaven who, according to legend, had elongated heads. Another version says that such a shape of the skull could enhance the perception of cosmic energy, which allegedly contributed to spiritual or intellectual development. The peculiarity of the Paracas skulls lies not only in their shape, but also in their volume and structure. Research shows that the volume of the skull is larger than that of ordinary people, and the structure of the bones is different. These anomalies give rise to theories about the extraterrestrial origin of the owners of such skulls. The skulls may belong to representatives of another race or hybrid creatures about which we know little yet. Greek Xiphus. Age 2,400 years. When you mention ancient Greece, memories come alive thanks to the great philosophers, the Olympic Games, and mythical gods. However, among the symbols of this great civilization is the Greek short sword, Xiphus. With a curved blade about 60 centimeters long, the Xiphus was one of the weapons of choice for the Greek hoplite infantrymen. This sword was designed for quick slashing and thrusting techniques in the close ranks of the phalanx. Its shape was inspired by the swords of the Eastern peoples that Greece encountered during its military campaigns. Archaeological finds of Xiphus are often accompanied by beautiful scabbards decorated with images of gods, heroes, and scenes from everyday life. In the hands of an experienced warrior, this sword became a deadly weapon. In battles such as Marathon or Thermopylae, the Xiphus proved effective in allowing the Greeks to achieve victory over numerically superior opponents. Today, these ancient swords are valuable exhibits in museums as well as objects of interest for collectors and researchers. Roman swords in Israel. In ancient caves near the Dead Sea, where the dry climate has preserved the secrets of past centuries, researchers from Israel have made a startling discovery. In the depths of these caves, they discovered 4 Roman swords. Amazingly, 3 of them were still in their original wooden sheaths. The reason for the expedition was an inscription in Hebrew on a stalactite found half a century ago. This inscription indicated the possible presence of ancient artifacts or objects of cult significance. According to experts from the Israel Antiquities Authority, Jewish rebels may have captured these swords from Roman legionnaires 1900 years ago and hid them for later use in the fight against the invaders. The spathas that were found were indeed the main weapon of the Roman soldiers of that time. They had long straight blades and were double-edged. The 4th sword, with a ring pommel, probably belonged to the pilum, an ancient Roman throwing spear. These swords are not just weapons, they are evidence of an era, a bridge between the past and the present. Such finds are very rare because iron is susceptible to corrosion. But thanks to the unique conditions in this region, historical artifacts have remained intact for centuries. The oldest tunic from Egypt. The 4,500-year-old tunic is now in the Cairo Museum and is one of the most valuable pieces of ancient Egyptian art. This amazing piece of clothing has been well preserved to this day, giving us a glimpse into the life and fashion of ancient Egypt. The tunic is made of linen, a popular material at the time that was cool and affordable. Its design is simple but elegant.
Narrow sleeves and a straight cut emphasize the status and degree of sophistication of its owner. It is interesting to note that despite its age, the tunic design is still relevant today. It is believed that such tunics were worn by high-ranking persons or priests. Clothes of this kind emphasize the status of its owner in society. Members of the upper echelons of Egyptian society often decorated their clothing with embroidery or gold stitching to distinguish themselves from others. I hope that our journey through history was as exciting for you as it was for me. Write your kind comments under the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your views. Bye, everyone.